course.
So the first game will be between Rogue and the Druid. So pick one from JJ against pick two from Ekop. And that's about it. Take it away, guys. This is the third match of the Group B.
Yeah, one player goes down. Thank you so much, Lothar. So Malaga's Druid, I'm still not convinced. I mean, the deck is I haven't played enough of this deck. The deck is really powerful, but then I'm not sure. The token Yogg Druid was, I think, a bit easier because you kind of went for the early value and you wanted to have like a good board, and then you wanted with Savager or just with minions. With Malagas, it's a bit weird because you have those Moonfires that are anti-value. So in a way, you kind of want to get to Malagas and finish your opponent with Burst. But to finish your opponent with Burst, you want to be aggressive mid-game, but suddenly you don't have Violet Teachers.
Yeah, I think you're more reliant on ramp in this deck, as we see the Nourish picked up by JJ off the Raven Idol there. But also, the Moonfires, even at worst, can help reduce the cost of Arcane Giant. There's a decent amount of spell power cards in the deck as well to help with removal. Because as you said, you really just want to push to the late game. But also, what's kind of awkward in the matchup that we won't see overall, but versus some super heavy control decks that can actually either heal or armor up if it's Warrior, then this deck can kind of struggle sometimes if it doesn't have Violet Teachers, because you can't put on enough pressure when your main threats are Ancient of War, Arcane Golem, and then the Malygos.
Yeah, they're
So
also
you're
like
kind of always reliant on the Yogg doing something sort of kind of crazy to be able to win the long control games. But we're interested to see how it fares versus this Rogue deck from Ekop.
there are also different versions. Like some people play Thalnos, some people don't. Some people play double Ancient of War. Gadgets, I'm not sure if it's a staple. I've even heard Ardu was playing a version without Malagas, but he still played Moonfires. So, and Arcane Giants, are two a staple, or do you play one?
I think if you're gonna play one, you play two, right?
No,
Arcane
I
Giants
would
is
I
so
would play
good.
two. I just love
Arcane
the card.
Giants are so good.
It's really huge, especially with so many spells and lacking the Violet Teachers. But what do you think about the matchup overall? This Malagas Druid versus Rogue.
I think it's going to be more reliant on the rogue side getting the quest adventure out. If you can get it out stealthed, then the druid doesn't really have a good way to deal with it. And then, other than a mulch, if you can, buff up the quest adventure, then the druid's really going to struggle. And if the druid has to start using the big removal on the rogue, there's not a lot, you can really do to finish the game. As saps are pretty powerful cards versus druid normally. We can see the Ancient of War in hand there, and rogue can very easily just delay and buy more turns to be able to finish the druid off here. So could be a tough one for the druid, I feel.
Yeah, so for Superjj, the main thing will be to try to be aggressive, but you can't because you don't have minions.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we were saying, right? Like before, you could actually win this matchup with the early Vital Teachers or whatever, just deal some damage and then finish things off with the spells. But now, if you just have the big guys, you can't really do much. Like, I mean, you can swipe it to deal with it, but
I think it's a tough one. You have to make the choice between is Feral Rage's flexibility later going to be worth more than the potential of swiping a Violet Teacher, which is very powerful in itself. And he's going to go with swipe. This opens up potential Feral Rage, Hero Power next turn, or just Nourish if you feel safe. But also, the Violet Teacher is going to feel a lot more comfortable now for Ekop because he's just seen a swipe. So it allows him to have a few more options following up. And these two Tomb Pillagers, there we go, dying off now, are going to make him have double coin, which for Violet Teacher, Edwin Van Cleef is going to be pretty important here.
now for JJ, you can go for Nourish. Do you go for Nourish to get more mana crystals? You will have 8 mana crystals next turn. You get 2 mana this turn, with which you can't do much. You can only just shapeshift, so it's not doing much. Fandral doesn't do anything. Card draw doesn't do anything. You can Feral Rage, but it's also not really exciting.
With this hand, I think you have to ramp. If you ramp, you have combos of Fandral, Feral Rage. You have Ancient of War capabilities next turn. Whereas other than that, like if you don't ramp, what do you even do next turn? Like
yeah,
nothing.
exactly.
Like, there's just nothing really to do. So I think JJ is actually going to be just forced into some ramp from Nourish because everything else just doesn't even feel remotely powerful enough. Unless he wants to just like Feral Rage, Hero Power, and just pass the turn to us. Kill off the Tomb Pillager and skip. But I feel like you don't gain enough. Yeah, but then the ramp's off curve, right? So
if you get an Innervate next turn, you still can't really Fandral Nourish. So yeah, I agree. Ramp was the best. But it's definitely worth considering all your options just in case.
Oh, of course. I just feel like if you don't ramp then, you're in trouble at every point of the match. You take a bit of a rough turn this turn to have a improved follow-up with the possibility of Ancient of Wars next turn. But now we're going to start to see the fun happen with Quest Adventurer coin into Van Cleef, and suddenly this looks very scary for JJ to deal with here.
Yeah, it's a very big board. He used the swipe already, and normally a druid doesn't have many tools to clear a big board. Like one of the best tools you have is Yoxaron probably, but still it's a bit random because you need to hit that board clear. Overall, if you just go for Ancient of War, you expect a sap. There is a small chance the sap is not there, but...
I mean, this is just a nightmare for JJ, actually. He could play Fandral into Pharaoh Rage to kill off the questing, but there's still 11 damage on board. Like, plus whatever the rogue does next turn. You almost always feel like you cannot Ancient of War. We're on to what, turn 6 for the rogue. He's drawn a decent amount of cards. It's probably likely he has the sap, so Ancient of War is just a no-go. At least with this, a sap Fandral doesn't really cause too many issues for you, as you can just replay it and get some value of it the following turn. I feel like JJ was forced into this turn.
Yeah, there was no other choice.
And this is really rough because, Ekop can almost do whatever he wants at this point.
Yeah, that's right. Violet T-shirt, Eviscerate, attack with the weapon is definitely solid. Go 11 to face.
He just gives JJ the same problem. It's like, well, does one mana and one more card draw make you be able to solve this problem? Probably not. Most of the time you're not going to draw the magical card that allows you to deal with this board again. It's almost as big it's the same sort of, slightly more stats than previous, except the Quest Adventure isn't as much of a threat anymore because it's not on the board.
So if JJ is forced to go for Ancient of War, is it over? There will be 11, 14, 20.
16 on board plus the 6 from...
I think he's alive if he shapeshifts. Well, if he shapeshifts into the 1-1... If he shapeshifts into 1-1, he might be dead. 11, 14, 15, 21. Yeah. So... yeah, he's dead with Leroy and the weapon attack. So sap, Leroy, go face. Should be enough.
And Eviscerate. Why not? Wow, it's just too much pressure.
He won't have mana for Eviscerate. It's 12,
Oh,
15,
he needs to
20,
sap.
21.
Okay, I'm being blind. Okay. Decided he had as much mana as JJ, but druids can ramp and rogues can't, so it's going to be pretty nice.
There was a small chance to survive this if you Moonfire the 1-1 instead of shapeshifting it, but it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you don't really make that play because...
You need Malagos, and with Malagos, just double Moonfire the minions.
Yeah, you need something big to win this game, and using a Moonfire and a 1-1 isn't going to be it. And Ekop takes the first game versus JJ, pretty convincing fashion. But I felt like with JJ's hand, he just had nothing he could really do for so long. There was no sort of board presence. There was no great impact. Even nourishing on 5 wasn't enough because there was already Tomb Pillagers down at that point. She just gave your opponent a free Tomb Pillager turn, which feels kind of terrible. And then just sap being available is always a fear from a rogue.
Overall, it was a big victory for Ekop because Druid was the first pick for JJ. It's like the one of the 4 decks that we normally ban, the strongest deck in his lineup that you consider yourself to be able to go 3-0 with. But suddenly, Rogue, a deck that is just left behind somewhere in the last picks, wins versus the Druid and eliminates it. So a really tough situation now. So what do you take? The Rogue stays. Ekop continues playing the Rogue. This is last hero standing as JJ.
Yeah, it's really difficult. It very much depends on what archetypes he has. So we can see now JJ has Freeze Mage and the Paladin. I'd kind of be surprised if it was aggro, because if it was aggro, you'd take it over the Freeze Mage, I think.
Well, Freeze Mage versus Rogue is one of the best matchups for Freeze Mage.
True, that's okay.
So whatever Paladin that will be, you still take Freeze Mage.
Yeah, because you don't want to be counterpicked too hard either, like as your last deck, so it's not too bad. I imagine JJ's going to have like a controlling style Paladin, anything Nazarth or combo of them both, as those lists been going around, but that doesn't normally fare too well versus Rogue either, so the Freeze Mage is definitely his best option.
Has anything changed this matchup since Karazhan? I don't think so. Freeze Mage didn't lose anything, didn't really get anything, where with Ekop, Rogue.
I guess Quest Adventurers, although not Karazhan, a recent-ish addition to Rogue. If you can get them to stick and dodge the Doomsayer, then that's just a hell of a lot of damage the Freeze Mage isn't really prepared to deal with.
Not only that, if Questing Adventure just goes beyond some threshold with health, it's a big minion, and Freeze Mage has trouble dealing with big minions.
Exactly, yeah. As long as you can get it to stick on the board for one turn, once you start cycling cards through it and it starts to grow, there's not a lot that Freeze Mage can actually do about it. As long as you can dodge or sap the Doomsayers, they're the only real major problem. And then if Quest Adventurers are soaking up fireballs and such, then probably feeling pretty okay about it as well.
Or just win the game if you can't kill it, if
Yeah.
it's resistant to Flame Strike. But in this opening, JJ has a really nice hand with Loot Hoarder, Novice, and even Thalnos just draw that he can use instead of having those big cards he doesn't need to have. And Ekop just missing minions. Like, he needs minions. He needs to get something on turn 4, turn 3.
Yeah, the Loot Hoarder coming out first, of course, because it's more powerful to have the Novice Engineer instant card draw later in the game, when you can make use of the card you draw in the same turn. So, Loot Hoarder's going to cycle there, give JJ his Ice Block, so at least he has Ice Block ready and waiting.
Yeah, but I think it's still kind of at this stage of the game want to have more draw. You want to have Arcane Intellect. But overall, you're still fine. This is your matchup. And this matchup I mentioned is so good for Freeze Mage because Freeze Mage can just keep killing Rogue's minions. And Rogue has a limited amount of damage that it can deal. So there is two ways to win this. Either suffocate the rogue, and this is something that Nyman likes to do when he was playing Freeze Mages. Just kill everything that's possible, and then Alexstrasza yourself, and Rogue just runs out of damage at some point. So that's one way to win. The other way to win is just keep being in a high health total, and then Rogue will not be able to burst you down, and you still have ice blocks, and just win with the combo. Just you should have enough time to draw all cards you need, especially with that Arcane Intellect. That's a great pickup, and then Alexstrasza and kill them, and that's it. We haven't seen any farts here from Ekop.
Yeah, exactly. No one's really playing Healing Rogue anymore, so there's not a lot you can do once you get Alexstrasza if the mage is in the position to, still be steady on their own side of the board first. So SI7 Agent is picked up by Ekop, but
That's something, but it's not enough.
yeah, but I think he's just forced to play it though, right? Like, unless you want to Shadow Strike the face.
No. Well, you can actually Shadow Strike the face. I think like the one time I've seen Rogue win versus Freeze Mage was when Ostkaka was playing versus Stansivka, and he did start his rotation with Shadow Strike the face. And that was because damage is so important, and you want to be able to use the damage.
Yeah.
But overall, the best strategy to win versus Freeze Mage with Rogue is to have, as we mentioned, big Questing Adventure, big Edwin, just to pressure them early before they are able to draw all the answers, all the cards they need. But in this situation, well, JJ is not having a torch. Normally, you would just love to torch it, the 3/3, or even Frostbolt it.
He's going for the Doomsayer into Thanos here, so the dual targets of, well, if you kill the Doomsayer, then the Thanos might well live, and also if the Thanos doesn't live, then, well, you draw a card anyway. And the spell power is not going to mean too much, because at the moment, JJ has a lot of the utility cards, but none of the burn, as you mentioned, like the lack of torch, for example. So other than Alexstrasza, he's got no direct way to actually just kill his opponent yet. So all he needs to do is survive longer, and that's pretty much what Freeze Mage does as a deck. It buys X amount of turns, so it can end the game like guaranteed, because it has a very specific way to just combo their opponent out of the game.
Yeah, certainly. I'm thinking if it's worth playing Cold Blood here, because you do want to end up with minions. You want to challenge Mage all the time to deal with your board. This means you kind of want to kill the Doomsayer. You don't want to just go face and pass and do nothing.
Yeah, I think Shadow Strike's actually just a good way to deal with most of a Doomsayer. It could just Shadow Strike, trade the SI, and then kill the Thanos and Hero Power. The only problem with that is it does mean you've not really done too much this turn except preserve your 3/3, but it means your opponent has to deal with the 3/3 the next turn, and obviously this is not a great turn. If you had like Frostball or or like Torch as you said, then you would have done it, right? So this isn't a good Doomsayer. So you rely on your opponent having another rough turn trying to deal with this SI7 Agent here.
Yeah, but still, I do agree with the action. Cold Blood was terrible actually, because you have to use Backstab as well on the 1/1, but Shadow Strike was definitely fine there. So now JJ is still, there is this 3/3 that challenges him, but does he even care? I wouldn't even mind just playing Ice Barrier and pinging face.
Yeah, again, he has just more utility cards. I mean, does he even like Acolyte ping? But the problem is then there's a chance of overdraw, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, you either do that or just Ice Block, but Ice Barrier you really want to always use at the highest health total possible. So, I mean, yeah. Why
Thinking
not?
SA7 prepares it for Blizzard, so it's also fine to do it.
Double Cold Blood in hand now for Ekop, but not much you can do with it yet, as I don't feel you want to fully commit, especially when you've seen the ping to a 3-2 getting ready for turn 6.
This is so terrible for Ekop. You know you want to be as aggressive as possible, just keep dealing damage, keep challenging JJ, but you can't really do anything. So you can't play Gadgetzan because there's no value. Like you can, if you play Gadgetzan, you'll have to backstab your own Gadgetzan, and then
And it dies to Blizzards.
yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Feels
right?
kind of terrible.
Double Cold Blood on the 3-2 does not seem good because then it's just prepared for Blizzard for whatever. It's going to die anyway, so you're just throwing Cold Blood away. Eviscerating face doesn't make sense, so you probably just go face and hero power because that's everything you can do. And it's also giving JJ a lot of information. It's like, hey, I have nothing. What up?
Yeah, it feels kind of terrible. Ekop would have really liked a Tomb Pillager this turn, or even a questing to at least allow him to set up things in the following turn. Like if he went questing into like Cold Blood, you can do some stuff like that. But as he said, his hand just doesn't allow him to do anything this turn. He's just gonna hit face and crack on basically. So not looking too good. And now as the turns go on, JJ will be able to plan around the fact he has Alexstrasza. Because that changes your game plan. Once you know it's in your hand, you don't have to rely on drawing it, your whole game plan edges towards getting to 2-turn kill them. And with double Ice Block in hand as well, you can quite easily set that up. We see him use the Ice Block now, get the Acolyte down, just to start continuing to cycle. And now this is already starting to set up the sort of the kill turns for JJ.
Yeah, JJ is in a pretty much comfortable position, and to give some credit to Ekop as well, he couldn't do anything, but he does have a lot of burst in hand. Double Eviscerate, double Cold Blood is, if comboed, 16 damage. That's a lot of damage. And even though it's not going to put lethal in the JJ in lethal range, it's still a lot of good damage that you can deal and pressure your opponent.
Yeah, and I like using the Cold Blood here. Like at the end of the day, Cold Blood, it's great if you get repeat damage, but as long as you get the combo damage in at least once, and just make your opponent try and deal with it, because now that 7-2 is suddenly a threat. Obviously, we can see it as Blizzard in hand that can slow the board down, but is that good? You could actually just Blizzard into Ice Lance to clear the board. Yeah.
I like it.
Now he's drawn Fireball as well, so JJ's piecing together the burn he needs to actually end the game, which might be a consideration for him not using the Ice Lance, because even Frostbolt double Ice Lance is an insane amount of damage.
He has also seen a sap from Ekop, so there's a small chance Alexstrasza will survive after he played. Yep. So this is the moment where you start backstabbing your stuff.
Yeah, I think you have to, because it's just another pass turn. If not, especially with the minions frozen, you can't even like bank any damage.
So you backstab the dude, the small dude, then you backstab a small dude again. Then you maybe eviscerate the 1-3 because you don't want to give JJ more cards than one. And you did stab the acolyte for the first time. So it's just Ekop backstabbing his own followers. Oh, Ekop.
And created another follower, so he's just completely cycling here. That's Quest Adventurer, so that's definitely going to help going forward, as I imagine Ekop's expecting some form of AoE to come out here. Did Ekop just try and backstab his own SI7 agent? It's not going to work.
Yeah, he wants to backstab the 1-1. But he's also thinking, is it maybe eviscerate the 1-3 first? Like, how do you do it? Okay, what is he going to draw? Superjj, and now eviscerate the 1-3, I believe. So for the next turn, you have Gadgetzan, so a board that needs to be taken care of, and then you have Questing Adventure of your own you can play. You have, can you play Superjj? Okay, so Questing Adventure, Superjj, and maybe Cold Blood.
Yeah, the problem with Cold Blood is you only really want to use it on a turn you can attack.
Yeah.
With the minion, because you just want the 4 damage, right? You especially after using Eviscerate on an Acolyte Pain, you really start to need all the damage you can get. The mage is still on 25 with a secret up, which we know is Ice Block. He has the second one available to him, and another Frost Nova as well, so JJ can actually choose to just slow this game down even more. Mirror Image coming out, sort of.
Well,
Are we classing Mirror Image as a tech card?
JJ has it. JJ just has it. He just needs to...
Yeah, with Frostbolt as well, yeah.
He just doesn't need anything. He has the win condition in his hand. He plays Alexstrasza on 9. He kills Ekop on 10. And I believe there is nothing Ekop can do unless he
Low
pops
threat.
yeah, like well, honestly, if he pops the block this turn, then JJ cannot play Alexstrasza, but that's not
But
feasible.
that's not going to happen, yeah. And this is a pretty good display of how oppressive Freeze Mage can be sometimes, where you like we can already see the game is pretty much over and decided. But obviously, you know, on Ekop's side, you play till the end, right?
Obviously, you
as,
have
as he
to
won't know
hope.
there's Alexstrasza and Burst in hand, but it's just, you know, Freeze Mage is very much just like a puzzle a lot of the time. Once you've got all the pieces, you just slot it in and you're done. You walk away with it finished. So it's looking pretty good for JJ as now it's just a matter of time.
Well, sometimes Freeze Mage just does not have it. If there is no Alexstraza's
Of
last
course,
card,
yeah.
you just keep
Well,
playing.
the whole deck's built to draw the pieces, right?
Yeah, but then like you can maybe skip a draw somewhere. Like Ekop was really consistent also with denying the draw to JJ, so like sapping Acolyte for the first time, Eviscerate on the Acolyte. And if Alexstrasza is not there in the hand, maybe JJ does not have enough burst, maybe he still has just minions, and Ekop has a chance to play the big minion, which he does this turn, I believe. He's going for that Edwin. He was even considering Cold Blood, but
Yeah, I don't think you need to. I think Edwin as an 8/8 is big enough.
yeah,
It
it
doesn't die to
should be.
Fireball. It doesn't die to AoE effects. So, you know, if it was a 6/6, maybe you'd consider the Cold Blood. But as I said, you kind of need to eke out every point of damage you can get from this deck. But here's the Alexstrasza. Even the Novice Engineer there, just a little poke.
Would you ever consider Eater of Secrets?
No.
No.
No is my honest answer to that.
Well, in this format, think about it. In this format, if you expect your opponents to have
But ban out all the
Freeze Mage-
classes that aren't secret classes and hope.
yeah, and put it in your rogue just in case, because you know this matchup is so bad, right? Yeah, but probably not.
You can try it if you want, Nimsh. Let me know how it goes.
I would probably expect Eater of Secrets in Druid. Like a random Raven Idol from Fandral into Eater of Secrets. I've seen that happen, actually.
Oh my
Not
god.
to me, but Laughing. I think Laughing was just posting a picture.
No, I think that was someone who queued into him and put it in the deck on purpose.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think, because it was like one of the last games of the season, so I think someone sniped him and put it in the deck, which was kind of hilarious. But yeah, it's just going to be... we talk about half random things now because Ekop's going to do his best to block and set up some kind of lethal whilst defending against Alexstrasza. He does have Conceal to feel pretty, you know, like, at least keep his board safe or relatively safe for a turn. But he's doing his best with what he has got. But we can see with, you know, Frostball, Ice Lance, Fireball, there's plenty of damage knocking around for JJ. And JJ's just going to chill, just going to wait to see.
Yeah, JJ
The
knows.
block isn't even procced either, so there's even less chance of this coming out of a win on Ekop's side. But he did, you know, doing his best there. But this is going to be pretty done and dusted now.
It's still just a tie, though, because Ekop was able to win the first game and eliminate Druid. You can see the icon of Druid crushed on the left side and grayed out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, that, actually, isn't it?
Yeah,
Just,
I like
gets
it, I like
smashed,
it.
like.
And now the mage is going to win. The thing is, what is Ekop going to take versus that mage? He still has a paladin and he has a shaman. If that's an aggro shaman, have we seen shaman from Ekop?
I
We
don't
haven't.
think so, no.
We haven't. No, shaman was banned by RDU, I believe. So if this is an aggressive shaman, it's going to be a good matchup. If it's an aggro, if this is a mid-range shaman, it might be tricky. Still, mid-range shaman, I believe, might be right. It depends on the build. Like, do you like Doomhammer in the mid-range shaman?
No, when I play the Totemic Might with the Witch.
Oh,
with
wow.
the Witch Doctors in
Okay,
as well.
that mid-range shaman.
I play Totem Shaman.
I play Alakir instead.
Oh, okay, yeah, you play the most like the standard.
Yeah,
mid-range
the
version.
Yagut version.
But no, it's a tough one. I think mid-range is obviously way more difficult than aggro. It looks like Ekop has locked in his Shaman, so we will see what he has available. I mean,
We
at the
don't know
moment,
yet.
at the moment, it could be both. It could be either even.
Any shaman.
But I imagine it's going to be aggro. I mean, he played it at
still don't know.
Insomnia as well.
We still don't know.
Yeah, this is what
Can
makes
we-
mid-range really scary, doesn't it? You can have the same opener as an aggro shaman and still like have all the late game tools as well. But looking at JJ's hand, he's looking pretty good as well. Loot Hoarder, Doomsayer, and Torch, all great early cards to combat any form of early aggression. But Hex gives us a hint that it's mid-range.
Yeah, that has to be mid-range then, because Hex is not playable. But the cards you've mentioned, Doomsayer is so good versus Shaman openings. Like somehow Shaman has those openings with Totem Golem into Trog, and you just slam Doomsayer, and they're like, oh wow, I don't have the bolt. I don't have my Rockbiter. So I guess I just lost my amazing opening and even give you tempo, because now you will be the first player to play a card after the Doomsayer procs.
Yeah, it's almost always a turn 2 play versus any form of deck that wants to play minions early. Like, there's very few decks that you don't want to drop Doomsayer here as the freeze mage just to lock it out. And with only 1 mana, it's not a lot Ekop's going to be able to do about this. So I imagine it's just going to totem up, reduce the thing from below down a little bit,
Go
put the 3
face.
damage in and say, okay, you had the Doomsayer, fair enough. This has happened no doubt a million times to everyone, so you just got to crack on with it. And now JJ has the initiative here.
He has a nice loot hoarder that he can play
Yeah.
this turn just to have a minion. There is nothing else he can do. The possible problem is that he doesn't have more draw. The good thing is he has the torch, so he will be able to just keep killing minions. Again, in this matchup, I believe JJ wants to stall again and draw as many cards as possible. Maybe loot hoarder and the draw at the start of the turn will provide something else.
Yeah, we even see the Maelstrom Portal come down to defend against the Tuskar Totemic, because there's no point playing that card unless you guarantee the Totem Golem.
Yeah.
But then the Loot Hoarder just trades into it and gets a far too efficient trade. Only the 2/1 Murloc off the Portal, though. Definitely not the highest roll you can get there.
I would not hate torching the 1/3. It might be awkward. You might consider coin into the 2/1 ping 2/1, but I don't think it's necessary.
How good is Acolyte of Pain here?
I don't like Acolyte that much. Well, actually, if you go torch into the 1/3, coin ping the 2/1, the next turn you can play Acolyte and ping it, but that's probably fine as well. Definitely killing the 1/3. That's my main thing.
Yeah. Okay, so JJ just going to play it safe. Clear up as much of the board. Well, clear up all of the board, shall I say.
Well, with the
And,
coin, he is able to play Thorison next turn, which is also
yeah.
huge.
That's pretty good targets as well. Two burn cards as well in the form of Torch and Fireball. So pretty good targets for Emperor there. And also demands a response from Ekop if it follows up with that. It's going to be Tuskar Totemic this turn though, and does get the Totem Golem. JJ, slight nod. He's like, yeah, okay. And the Hero Power as well. So that thing from below now, only 2 mana. And this is where it starts to get scary against Shaman with thing from below. I feel like the turns in which your opponent has like a full Shaman turn, say 6 mana, and then drops a 5/5 for nothing, feel pretty terrible.
So what's the game plan here? JJ would love to suffocate Ekop in a way, just to outvalue him. So the Ekop has no cards, and he has to go with the cards off the top, where JJ still is drawing cards and just removing cards, getting the value. So Blizzard can give a nice value. Right now, even the Thorison, like, do you hex it? Because if you don't hex it, you just will have to.
No,
just
I
ram.
actually think I just like Azure Drake into Abusive. Abusive onto the Tuskar to trade with the
Yeah,
Thorison.
that's
You
much better.
hold Hex for either a second Doomsayer or the Alex Straza. Obviously not quite yet, but later on. But I think because this is such a nice trade, and then Blizzard would kill the Totem Tuskar anyway. So why do you care? Azure Drake is safe versus Blizzard, and you still push damage with the Totem Golem. So I kind of like it. It uses the Abusive quite well, although again, if you're expecting Blizzard, Abusive dies. But you gain the Azure Drake. So
Yeah, this is definitely a superior play.
everything else just doesn't feel too great. You don't really need the Feral Spirits at the moment, I don't think.
And Hex can be used versus Doomsayer in the future, and
Oh,
that's
he's going to use Hex. Okay.
he's going to use Hex anyway. Oh man, I really liked your play though.
I just feel like going into turn 6, this feels rough. Because your whole board minus the Totem Golem dies.
Maybe he thought there is no Blizzard because. Oh wow, actually maybe he's playing around Flamestrike right now because Flamestrike would be for 6 mana after Thorison, so he didn't want to commit Azure Drake on
That's
the board.
true.
That's why he wants to have Azure Drake with the thing from below after Flamestrike. Probably that's the reason. But I think both plays, like depending on what you play around, like we've played around, like your play plays around Blizzard because we see Blizzard and Blizzard is something that's can be played, but still, both situations are bad for Ekop.
The spell-powered Blizzard coming down there, mainly so Thanos can trade into the Totem Golem in the following turn. The combination of the +1 spell power and the Thanos being a 1/1, of course, makes a really obvious kill there, and just saves JJ some mana potentially, which is super important. If he doesn't have to ping, or if he can cash in on the spell power next turn, it's going to be looking really good. But Spirit Claws is going to help him clear it up there. So even with the spell power, it's worth to the 3 attack. Bit of overkill on Thanos, but really worth there just to remove the spell power potential from JJ.
Definitely, because it boosts the torches and all the other things. And now we can have this Frost Nova Doomsayer, and Hex is unfortunately used.
Yeah, but I mean, there is Lava Burst and the weapon though. So there is a way for Ekop to deal with this, but it's still a strong turn. You demand some form of answer, or the whole board gets cleared. So I do like that at some point. And then I mean, I guess you just ice barrier as well.
Yeah, you will have enough mana to do it. JJ can consider other plays, which will be, for example, Fireball into the 5/5, being the free one, but it doesn't seem that great.
Not when you pretty much you've seen a hex and you're demanding some form of answer for this Doomsayer. Because if you didn't have Doomsayer, then maybe you'd start clearing with the removal. But with Doomsayer, it just feels like it fits so well. Like just play Doomsayer, Frost Nova into Ice Barrier. You've got +8 health from the barrier that you're almost certainly gonna get, and then the Doomsayer has to be dealt with, and you're taking 0 damage. So
I agree.
everything seems to add up pretty well here, I think.
Seems like a perfect play. Also, even if Ekop has a way to deal with the Doomsayer, it is a lot of damage that's going to be put into that Doomsayer. Plus, by the way, Lava Burst and Hex in the same deck.
Yeah, I've been seeing some lists actually just play like 1 Lava Burst, just as a way to finish the game. Because one of the problems you're going to have with a lot of mid-range lists is if you lose the board and can't quite get it back, then you're never going to win. It's very similar to Zoo in that aspect. Whereas Lava Burst just opens up potential of either a very low mana cost, high removal card, or just extra damage to actually finish up a game.
I think people also played Fire Elemental instead. So like it depends. There's again a couple of builds that you can play with the Shaman, which is cool.
I mean, I
There's
think
no
there's
one
like
for the list.
even just if you look at it, 2 to 3 card changes. That's almost every deck now, right?
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
so many like slight variations on deck lists. It's super cool.
Especially in Druids. But yeah, Ekop feels like there is no AoE. He's seen that Blizzard, there was no Flame Strike. So he says, you know what? Frost Nova, Doomsayer, I've seen double Doomsayer already. I'm good. I'm going all in. Let's see if you have it.
Okay, so there's what 15 damage from JJ in hand. Not quite enough. Definitely wants to draw like Straza in time for next turn.
So
I feel like we might just see Acolyte ping here.
well, you can also just keep stalling and just killing minions before, because Ekop will not have the draw. Ekop has only 1 card in hand. So is it bad if you fireball the 5/5, you ping the free 1, and maybe even torch the 2 free? So then on the board you have 2 free +4, 7 attack, and maybe next turn just keep fireballing, playing Acolyte, Ice Barrier, stuff like that.
I just feel like with Acolyte ping, you still have mana to react, right? You either what if you draw Arcane Intellect, or you can just fireball one of the other minions. It looks like JJ is going to go to really just reduce the board down as much as possible. So
Yeah, I think it's fine because he has more draw in the deck than Ekop. That's why I suggested that.
yeah, and
Just
obviously, as you
suffocate.
said, like Ekop's running low on cards anyway. So unless there's a Mana Tide totem that comes out of that Tuskar,
That
which
can
would be a
happen.
pretty sick draw right about now.
That would be really good.
Yeah.
Because then JJ normally would like to fireball the 4/4 next turn, and if Mana Tide comes in, that's so bad because how do you deal with it? But Stoneclaw is not troublesome for JJ.
Nope. If anything, it's good. It's just a space on the board that isn't going to hit him.
And now Ekop thinking, do you want to totem up or do you want to play Argent Squire? Probably totem up here. Squire doesn't change that much, just 1 damage plus you give information to your opponent that you have absolutely nothing in hand if he deals with your board.
Yeah, the only problem is though you need damage, and if you totem up, and then JJ just freezes the board again, then like a lot of your board space is being used. That's 2 out of 7 of potential totems that aren't doing any damage every turn, and you really need everything you can get, especially when you're at this point and you need to make the most of the resources you have. I don't know if I actually like Totem. I think you just want the Squire down to 1, survive through AoE, and also just do any form of extra damage you can get.
But you might be running Thunder Bluff in your deck because you're a mid-range. So if you have Valiant in your deck, Totem on board is more valuable than Squire.
That is true. You can have that one.
Depends how
is
many you're
true.
playing, because some people are playing only 1 Thunder Bluff Valiant. So if you are playing 1, then I agree with you. More damage on board makes more sense if you're running 2.
Okay.
Lextraza does it change much? How much damage we have? 3, 6, 10, 11 damage on board. So you're not dead next turn. If you play Lextraza, you might force your opponent to actually trade into it.
I think you don't have the follow-up, right? So I like the ping on the Acolyte now. If you play Alexstrasza and a Hex comes out, you have no follow-up, you have no way to kill your opponent, you've just got to survive. So I
Yeah.
actually do like the ping and just wait. Ice Barrier is going to help buy him some more time, same with Mirror Image, so just holding on there. And he has played the Torch as well, so he does have a Roaring Torch in the deck
This is also
somewhere. So this is not too bad at all. I like holding on here.
Yeah,
'Cause you may
makes
need it
sense.
for yourself.
Yeah, definitely. This is something I mentioned in the beginning. Like, if you want to play, if you want to suffocate your opponent, you basically just Alexstrasza yourself at some point because they are out of cards and they just get you low and they hope they are going to get the lightning bolts to finish you off and then suddenly 15 health and they have nothing.
Yeah, and this forces Ekop to use all of his minions to clear the board and kill the Acolyte in a reasonable way to stop the multiple card draw. Ice Lance does come off the Acolyte, so
Another totem, and now if you play the Squire, your board is full, which might be awkward
yeah.
because I'm not sure if I like that totem there because then suddenly
Well, if you play Thunderbluff, you can't hero power, right?
exactly, which was more or less the case last turn as well. But there is a Froze Nova.
I mean, I guess you can just Frost Nova Ice Barrier ping face. I'll ping the shield off the Squire
2,
maybe.
3, 6, 7. If you play Alexstrasza is not killable from this board.
Yeah, it's just the lack of follow-up though. Like if you Alexstrasza your opponent is on 15, but there's 2 taunts in the way that you can't deal with. And then, so that's two more turns, at least as it stands now, that Alexstrasza has to attack.
It's fine.
So-
You get an 8/8 dragon. You get an 8/8 dragon on board. Iceland's is okay as well because
Suppose
you are
Frost Nova next turn is going to guard the Alexstrasza, right?
yeah, exactly. And you have Ice Barrier that's going to help you with the race.
Thanos is not what Ekop wanted to see.
So
It's
Ekop,
card draw, but delayed card draw, which is the problem.
so you can't totem up. You kind of want to run your totem into 8/8 maybe, and then
But you
Yeah.
have to Blood Mage, right?
yeah,
Like
because
regardless
you
of
need
anything,
draw.
you need to draw something.
Okay, healing totem is fine. So totem up made sense because you know it's guaranteed healing totem,
Yep.
and you want to heal the wolf.
But no, it has to be Blood Mage Thanos. I feel like you need the cycle, and the spell power with no cards in hand isn't going to change anything, right? Like you need to cycle through the deck, try and get those Thunder Bluffs, or potentially even a Bloodlust. If a lot of the mid-range lists are running just like one Bloodlust as well, probably the more totem-focused ones as opposed to ones that are running Feral Spirit.
Bloodlust is pretty brutal in those lists. Like, a lot of lists does not run Bloodlust, and then you are like, not playing around it because most of the time you just can't. You can't kill everything, and suddenly they're like, oh, well played.
mean,
And I was like, no,
it's
wait, I'm at 21!
It's the power of the totem-focused deck, right? Like if you build totems, your opponent's scared of them, but they're then spending resources to just kill totems, which is just your hero power every
Yeah.
turn, which is fine. You're pretty happy with.
A Phantom Bloodlust.
Oh, Ice Block.
It's not bad, not the best.
It's just like a safety thing, right? I imagine the Alexstrasza is going to go into the Feral Spirit this turn and then Frost Nova.
Yes, and you play maybe both secrets because why not? Unless you want to ping something really badly.
Well,
You can ping the 0/2 totem maybe. No,
no,
because
no,
it's
no.
going
yeah.
to get healed
Yeah,
anyway.
you don't ping anything. You want the board to be full. Well, it won't be full because the Spirit's dead, I
Exactly.
guess.
So,
But,
well,
you don't want to ping anything else because of Thunder Bluff, right?
yes. So you're good with killing the 2/3 and playing all 3 cards.
Mm-hmm.
Do you?
And there's no point killing
Are
the
y-
Taunt Totem because then the next hero power is going to be more than likely, or at least has a high chance of being Taunt. 50%.
Do you have to Frost Nova this board? Because you kill the wolf, and there is.
Yeah, there's enough damage to kill the Alexstrasza.
Yeah, okay. It's better to protect Alexstrasza because you kind of want
It's all you have at the moment.
You want to connect to face with Alexstrasza
Yeah.
these ones.
Yeah, I think you have to Frost Nova. Because also there's what, 2 fireballs, Frostbolt been used, so it's really reliant on this Alexstrasza hitting face, then drawing a Roaring Torch, or something else to finish off with the burn. Totem Golem again, not super impactful, just yet
that's a
another
minion.
slow minion on the board.
It's a minion. It's something.
Yeah, you want those power cards at this point in the game.
Like what? Like Alak
Well,
here?
if there's Alec here, even the Thunder Bluff, just anything to be more of a threat than
Light-
just a bland 3/4.
Lightning Bolt wouldn't be bad if you
Yeah.
run it. I'm not sure if you run it in this deck anymore. Oh man, that
Okay.
Blizzard! Oh, and that connects to face. And how do you win?
Yeah, and this is
you
what
guys.
JJ needs, like a really easy option to just get the Alexstrasza tip face. No reason not to. Is there a reason? Yeah, I guess you can ping. You are never gonna die with
Yeah, from
nothing on board. You have
25.
ice barrier. Yeah, exactly.
So in theory, he has a way to kill Alex Strauss.
It, unfortunately, though, kills himself. He does roll Taunt Totem, which is actually pretty huge.
And a Flame Imp, a really good minion there. So now if he
The
keeps
Taunt
the
Totem
damage-
actually saved the day.
Oh,
Ah,
that's
there's
it, that's
Torch,
it.
though. It was only a matter of time. And JJ does take the win versus Ekop Shaman. And now Freeze Mage getting some work done.
Yeah, Freeze Mage is pretty good, and we talked with Dice and the cab that we're taking here to the venue, and he said, like, yeah, Freeze Mage is a possibility that people will bring because this format is so different, and I love it. Honestly, I love it. Even though it's again free decks format that we've been used to. Last year standing, it's always different free decks, and the whole strategy coming into it. If other tournaments pick up this format, I would love to watch them as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see as well how potentially JJ's opponents ban going forward, because they could ban with the idea that, well, I want to leave Freeze Mage up for a potential pick, or they could ban Freeze Mage out knowing it's Freeze Mage, and then, you know, try and build the rest of the lineup around not having to play against it. So, you know, the tactics continue to evolve as the tournament goes on as well, which is really cool to see.
Because you have the knowledge and
Exactly.
you can make more educated bouncing picks, which is great. And I want to remind you guys, this is an elimination match. So if Ekop loses this game, he loses fully. And what can you tell me about this matchup? Murlocs versus Freeze Mage, Raven.
Yeah, so it's a really weird one. It's kind of similar to the N'Zoth Paladin lineup where everyone thought, well, Paladin's got an absolute absurd amount of healing. Like, it's fine. You know, surely they have to win because they just out-heal the damage. But the problem is, Freeze Mage, because the game is normally relatively slow, Freeze Mage can take the time to acquire all the burn, get a good strong Thaurissan down, and then just kill them. Like, just kill your opponent one turn. Don't give them the option to heal. With either just a few pings to face. Normally try and set them around 20-ish. Very similar to the way Freeze Mage plays against Reno. A lot of the time, you put them at an awkward health and, you know, try and burst them down from there. But we did see recently in the Batstone that sometimes Murloc Paladin can actually just do beatdown. You know, if
Yeah.
they go, they can actually just be aggressive. And we saw, I think, was it a turn 5 win or something by just chaining Murlocs and your opponent not being able to deal with them. So
This deck is crazy, and I think this is the deck I've played most in the recent days because it's so cool to play. It's so different. So as you mentioned, on paper, Freeze Mage wins because like both players they want to accumulate combo cards, and then Freeze Mage just can OTK where Murloc can't because you have Ice Block. So Murloc can't OTK you. He will have to spend whole turn to just try to kill you. You have Ice Block, you survive, and then you can kill them. The healing is very important, but if you have hand like this, like Ekop, you can just go Murlocs to face and just challenge Freeze Mage all the time instead of drawing cards. Freeze Mage will have to actually start killing the things, and even cards like Ivory Knight being a 4/4, you have to deal with it.
and also the crazy stuff that can come from Ivory Knight. Like Ivory Knight can
Blessing of
actually just
Kings, yeah.
change the game completely with the sheer volume of and variety of cards that are available for Paladin. I mean, like, I've won games because Ivory Knight got me Noble Sacrifice.
Speaking
Right?
of the
You know, like,
devil.
there's some crazy stuff that can come out, and I love Ivory Knight as a card because of the dual decision
I love it, yeah.
forces you to make. Like, do you want healing value more than the card value, or do you value the
It's
card
flexible.
itself higher? So
It gives
it's
you
really
flexibility.
interesting choices, and I imagine seeing these. The way the hand is looking for Ekop, he'll wait till turn 5, or potentially turn 4 if he wants to use the coin, to play both Murlocs together to get the higher charge damage, and also just making the Murlocs like more awkward to deal with.
Also, there's a recent addition to this deck that I've seen for the first time, I believe, and played by Ness. People play Barnes.
Yes,
Because Barnes, not only there's obvious Tyrion from Barnes that can happen, and then you suddenly get on turn 4 or turn 3 if you con Barnes, a 1/1 that will create an Ashbringer that's just amazingly good. If you get something like Acolyte of Pain or
any of the
Recorder,
card draw, yeah.
the card draw is good. With Pyromancer, you may be able to do some shenanigans. If you get a Murloc, that's fine. You get
That's
a,
fantastic.
you
Yeah,
get
I think,
Murloc earlier.
I think like Murlocs, any Murloc is probably the best outcome in this deck almost all the time, because that extra power really just gets nuts. Especially since Ivory Knight can also get you a third anything, which is the way you win some control matchups
Yeah,
as well.
yeah,
So
that can happen.
It was truly ridiculous.
With the Murloc, the thing is just you don't. Well, it gives you more power with the first anything, but I think the most important part is that you have more consistent anything overall, because sometimes
Yeah, because
Murlocs
your
are the last
Murlocs might be
card.
at the bottom of the
Yeah,
deck.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a problem you can really have, especially when you're in a matchup like this and both players are accumulating a combo, like effectively.
Yeah.
Which means if your key cards are at the bottom of the deck and theirs aren't, then suddenly they're just gonna win because they'll do their combo first.
So many times in the Murloc you have to be the beatdown. The same situation happens when you play versus Warrior, because they can try to armor up um,
Mhm.
above the damage threshold that you
Yeah,
have.
and this is why we see Pyro. There's also not too many targets that Mage has to Pyro equality really in this deck. Not too much you really need to kill there. Whereas the Pyro being a 3/2 represents at least a decent chunk of damage that JJ will have to deal with. And next turn, if he wants, he can just play the double Murloc to continue pressuring the Mage. Because if you get the Murlocs to just hit and try and stick for a turn, then again, the more you beat down early, the more of a threat your anything is.
Also, if you challenge the mage and the mage has to use burst to deal with your stuff, he is losing this OTK potential,
Exactly, yeah.
which gives you an out with the healing. Normally, Paladin is playing one Forbidden Healing. I've seen version with double Forbidden Healing, but the standard version is one Forbidden, double Ivory Knight, and I believe that's it with regards to heal. Like,
There's so many
oh, there's
variations, though.
Ragnar's Light Lord
Yeah.
as well. So like, you either play Ragnar's Light Lord or Lay on Hands, double Forbidden. So there are some differences.
Yeah, there were there were quite a few versions knocking around because there are versions with and without humility, for example.
That's the old version, I believe, with humility.
No,
and
there's current
Did
versions.
people played it as
there
well
with one of.
one humility. But do you play Kodo? You don't play Kodo
No.
anymore. Yeah. So the Kodo got
Yeah.
replaced by Ivory Knight.
So we see just the one Murloc coming down then, so just holding on to the charge there in case he needs it for the following turn. I'll just need the instant damage, but this is looking pretty okay for Ekop so far. Frost Nova's going to help slow the game down a little bit, but the problem here is none of these cards. There's Torch and Ice Lance, but he needs more to be able to drop Emperor.
Torch is fine to be played here because you get a better Torch,
Yep.
and the better Torch is needed for the OTK potential.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny as well when you're playing against the mage here. It's very obvious when you need to feel threatened, and it's when Emperor comes down. Because I'm pretty sure Emperor will not come down unless there's at least like a Fireball Frostbolt in hand as well.
A couple of cards that you will need for the OTK,
Yeah,
right?
I think you need like at least 3 burn cards to like make it worthwhile to be able to put in enough damage.
So let's what's an OTK? It's double Fireball is 12, Torch is 18, like a better Torch.
Yeah, and it's like
18.
Frostbolt, Ice Lance, Ice Lance.
So it's let's say one Frostbolt double Ice Lance will be what, 11. So that will be 27.
Sure,
29?
I'm agreeing
No,
with you. You
29.
were doing the maths. I'm watching the
That
game.
wouldn't be enough. So, but
So-
still, like you need a lot of damage. You need 30 damage to be able to kill your opponent.
I mean, a lot of the time, though, you don't need 30. You don't need to truly OTK the Paladin, because if you put a Paladin on 25, they're probably not going to heal. They're not going to feel the need to heal unless they play an Ivory Knight because that's all they have in their hand. And it's like, well, I just may as well play Ivory Knight to get the card draw as well. But a lot of the time, you can poke them down to like mid-20s, and they still feel relatively safe until the Emperor comes out. And then when the Emperor comes out, that's when you start seeing Paladins like forbidden healing on 26, or something stupid to just go up to as much health as possible. See the Solemn Vigil come down now after a few trades of those tokens, being able to just cycle through. So we've seen one War Leader. There you go. So there's all 4 Murlocs.
That's all
now.
4 Murlocs, and he still has the coin, so he'll be able to play anything on turn 9. Pressure JJ specifically if he's able. So like the first anything, if all the Murlocs die here, the first anything is what, like 12 damage, right?
Yep.
So 12 damage does not proc the block yet, but it prompts your opponent to deal with the Murlocs on board, and then the second anything is either 30 or 32. So you can pop the block even if there is an Ice Barrier, probably, because you dealt 12 the previous turn.
And also, that's the thing, the repeat damage is insane because the Murlocs are actually relatively difficult to deal with unless there's a Flame Strike. Excuse me. Because there's an equality already in hand and the weapon's equipped. So if a Frost Nova Doomsayer comes down, that's dealt with. And the equality has a very weird interaction with the Murlocs because the
doesn't
Wall
really kill
Leaders
them.
buff them back up
Yeah.
past 1 again. So they don't actually get set to 1. So it could be feeling pretty good. There's a Roaring Torch and a Forgotten Torch in hand. JJ is continuing to cycle to try and look for the extra burn he needs.
So he probably needs to cycle the Torch. So he can torch the 3-2, ping the 1-1. But then he is lacking draw. He has no more ways to draw the cards, so he will have to just keep drawing off the top, where Ekop has most of the tools right now to finish the game. The second anything will be wonderful.
Yeah, and there's still that potential of a third anything from the Ivory Knight.
Yeah, that's
Which honestly is like, especially versus Warrior, it's like a legit thing to do. You play Ivory Knight to try and get anything, and then you feel you almost certainly win unless something's gone crazy wrong. And again, versus Freeze Mage, because of the ice blocks, like a third anything could help as long as you're not dying, obviously, in the turns.
Most of-
Anything is a 10-mana card, so it uses up your whole turn, so you need to make sure it counts.
I think in most cases, anything from Ivory Knight is good, because even if you don't need it to win the game, it's still 10 heal overall. So like even if you play versus aggro, it's like, yeah, I just heal for 10.
Yeah, I mean, it gets beat by cards like Consecrate, you know, if you need it on that turn, you know, like something you can do directly straight away. But in general, a third anything feels pretty good in a deck that's built to be an anything deck.
So now we see the Murlocs. This means all the Murlocs have been played in Ekop's deck. He can deal with the Doomsayer easily, just running the Murlocs into it, using the tokens and the free one to kill the 0-2s. And
Yeah,
then
and what this does as well is this holds on to the equality as well. So he'll have the equality for either Emperor or Alexstrasza if he needs it to be able to deal with them. Because at this point, there's no crazy rush. He hasn't seen Emperor yet, and he has ways, well, at the moment, he doesn't have a great way to deal with an Alexstrasza next turn, other than the Ivory Knight hopefully rolling high to be able to get one of the higher cost spells. But Ivory Knight can whiff a lot of the time as well if you need it for the heal.
there's so many secrets.
Yeah, there's secrets, cards like Humility, Equality. You know, there's a lot of just low cards that are high value, but just low in terms of mana cost, so low heal.
And I believe even if you get one of the
So,
most popular 4-drops, it's still not enough after Alexstrasza.
Yeah, Ekop was taking. I'm not sure if Ekop thought through the turn well enough there, because he pretty much used the whole rope to work out how to trade. So I don't know if he maybe played the turn a little bit too quickly and then decided against it. And you can see he's holding on to the True Silver Champion.
Yeah, I think
as
that was
well, just for the heals.
that's probably the thing he was thinking about. Do you want to keep the True Silver? It's not only the heals, it's also if you pop the block with the Murlocs and the Murlocs get cleaned, you have the True Silver to be able to attack and pop the next block or like just deal damage.
Yeah, and speaking of Ice Block, that is a pretty dead draw for JJ. He does not need that at the moment. He needed almost any other card in the deck would have been better than Ice Block this turn.
And right now you kind of want to clear the Murlocs, but there is this coin anything, and the Murlocs are just going to get, like even more of the Murlocs are going to get back.
Yeah,
so.
and I have no doubt that JJ is aware that the coin is still in the hand of the opponent, as he's not seen it been played, and it is something you keep track of when you're against players here, because it's very important, as we can tell. You know, a full anything will come out next turn
So what
if he chooses to.
do you just torch the 3-3 and then ping the 2-1 and attack it with a 1-1 into the second 2-1? Because if
Do you ever just Nova? Yeah, I think Nova's okay.
That's
Because you don't
fine.
kill the Murlocs, so an anything only creates one Murloc. Oh no, yeah, it'll just create a War Leader if he anythings,
It's
which means nothing because...
it's the Pyromancer play here, by the way.
Yeah.
So like if Ekop plays the Pyromancer, but the fun fact, okay, he's not able to do this. I was thinking like if the Pyromancer can actually clear the board and then you anything in a way. But no.
No, he's short.
Yeah, I can't do it.
He needs a second coin and a turn 10 play. Is he just gonna...
Anything anyway? I mean, So like if you coin,
He doesn't gain anything though.
so if you coin, you can kill Thorisan because it deals 1 damage. You
It kills
lose
the
one of
Murloc that he'll get back again.
So you will get 1 Bluegill and 1 War Leader, and then the Bluegill will actually be buffed by 2 War Leaders. So
yeah,
it's
to be
going
able to
6
trade into
attack.
the Emperor. Is that...
Is that worth it, right? That's the question. Is that really worth it? Probably not. Because you want to get full value of Murloc, so that the
okay,
second
so he's
anything
not
actually.
going to, right.
Yes,
okay.
he's not going for it.
Yeah, and interesting as well, he's chose this play versus playing Ivory Knight, and seeing, you know, if he got a spell off that he could use to proc the, you know, to proc the effect off the Pyro. But we can see that Ekop now is pretty much all in on saving all this healing for as and when he needs it, as opposed to just playing Ivory Knight for the Discover mechanic, which sometimes you are forced to do.
And there is Alexstrasza actually. So JJ can go for that. Deal 15 damage to face, 14 damage to face. He doesn't have enough to win, but what are the outs? So at the moment he has 9 damage in hand. If he gets a Frostbolt, he has enough. If he gets a Fireball, he has enough.
Yeah, but the problem is like this turn is mainly just to test Ekop and to see what he has, because a lot of the time there's enough damage to kill Alex Straza, and if you're just forbidden healing up to full, then you're like, okay, you know, it was just like a turn for a turn. So he's just going to test him and see what actually he has available, and if he has a forbidden healing or if he has a better option or not, because sometimes they don't have it, and this just wins you the game.
Avenging Wrath looks quite tasty. Not
Yeah.
only heals you for 6, but also will be able to deal damage. And it's another card that, if the block is popped and the board is frozen, can actually deal that damage through the ice barrier, for example.
Yeah, definitely pretty useful in this matchup overall, and it's just the follow-up, kind of a tough one.
Do you...
Aldor feels like the natural follow-up, but you have enough damage to trade him without using your weapon anyway.
Yeah, you're
so
fine.
then Aldor's pointless.
You're absolutely fine with just trading your Murlocs into it. Well, actually, maybe Aldor even. I'm not sure about War Leader, because if you trade War Leader here, you are going to resurrect War Leader with anything can happen.
Yeah.
But if you don't, this War Leader is going to get buffed by the other War Leader that died.
Seems pretty good.
Yeah, that does heal you to full.
Yeah, and something to bear in mind as well is, as the game goes on, Barnes pulls a minion that's in your deck, not like in your deck now, and what's left of it, not in your deck as a whole. So, you know, we've not seen Tyrion, we've not seen Ragnaros, so the odds on Barnes actually pulling one of those is actually pretty high at this point, I imagine.
It was. There was a chance for a Doomsayer as well, I believe, because we've seen only
that one.
Only that one.
Yeah.
Doomsayer would be pretty weird.
Yeah, Doomsayer is kind of rough, especially versus Freeze Mage,
Oh,
when
man.
they don't care about the board.
There's this Forbidden Healing. So this is going to bring 4 Murlocs. We've seen 4 Murlocs die, which means the second NFN is quite deadly. What about this one, though? How much damage is it? Is it enough to pop the block? This is...
It's 10,
no, it's
10
3
more,
off.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's still really good to put JJ super low right now. JJ can use Frost
Well,
Nova.
the important thing here is, and this is why Avenging Wrath was a really good pick and why Ivory Knight's an awesome card, is that even if a Nova comes out, you just play Avenging Wrath, proc the block. Because
Exactly.
it doesn't get affected by Ice Barrier because it's a spell, and you can guarantee proc the block on 3 unless there's some kind of heal, which we've seen Alex Straza, so the block is almost guaranteed here.
Almost, because right now there is also Acolyte of Pain that can draw some cards.
Yeah, and the Frost Nova as well.
Not
so
anymore, I guess.
Yeah. It was as good a setup as you're going to do, right? Like
Yeah.
That's the plan. The setup was there.
Do you go for it? You still go for it?
Well, you can just do quality, right?
Equality.
Quality and proc the block.
Well, if you equality and Avenging Wrath,
Yeah.
you still need more because Avenging Wrath. Well,
Does
oh no,
8.
yeah, I was 8. You're right. You're right. It's enough.
You can proc the block this turn if you
can
want.
block, yeah.
The only thing that, I guess it's fine, right? You're on full health. What are you saving equality for?
There's no reason to, and with Ivory
And-
Knight, you can actually get some damage that will go through the freezes. Like,
The problem with equality, I guess, is
there's not really a problem, I
the
think.
Blizzard. The Blizzard still doesn't kill the Murlocs, right? Not all of them.
But then you force your opponent to have another block. That well, it's like if they don't have the block, you don't really kill them because you don't really have the follow-up. So I guess it's fine to pass. Like, your opponent still needs a full hand of cards to be able to kill you. It's 3 damage on board. It's not that much. He will need those fireballs we've mentioned, those torches we've mentioned. JJ doesn't have it. Even after that Thorisan, there is not enough cards in his hand. Well, actually, maybe he had a perfect hand that this would be the kill, but
Yeah.
But Ekop goes for the trust. He trusts that that JJ doesn't have it yet. And
He will also know how many cards were reduced by Emperor and how many cards are in hand. So he can work out that, okay, you know, like 4 cards were reduced and you've used however many left. So you've only got 4 cards available. So how much maximum damage can those 4 cards do? There's Thanos, though, which is very useful when you have this much damage from hand and it's reduced. Because the extra spell power really does start to add up when you cast in multiple spells.
Yeah, but I still don't see it. I think Thorisan just hit too few cards. So what's the best? What's the best you can do? Let's say you have Thalnas, you have those 2 torches, which is 11 damage. There's
I think there's 20
16.
if he draws a Frostbolt, right?
he would need like a Frostbolt and another Ice Lance.
There's 21 because he could ping. So if he drew Frostbolt, he could do 21 next turn, I believe.
Options.
But this is going to proc the block. And why not at this point?
Yeah, definitely.
Because even the block will get procced at 1, which is perfect,
Well, you have
and you have
Consecration now.
consecrate. Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. So the block's getting procced on the best possible number, and you can guarantee proc it next turn, which is everything you want. And you've still got your other anything to come out yet to really push through a second ice barrier.
And Forbidden Healing, if there is a semi 2-turn OTK that can kill you, you can just go consecrate Forbidden Healing or just Forbidden Healing to full, and you'll be feeling good about it. You still have Ivory Knight afterwards.
So Arcane Intellect can help JJ cycle. He does have Blizzard to slow the game down again and clear off the board.
Well, he definitely needs to play Ice Block or he's dead.
Yeah. It's just what he combos with Ice Block, right?
So he has 9 cards in hand. If he starts with Arcane Intellect, he goes to 10 cards. Still has 7 mana. He's looking for the Frostbolts. He has double Ice Lance already. Can he? Is his last hope trying to get this
I think he has
2-turn
to
OTK?
draw, right?
He definitely needs to draw. Like he doesn't have enough damage to win.
So he
in
can't
the
Blizzard.
first
He
turns.
just accepts the fact that he gets procced next turn, but then he tries to win next turn. He needs a Frostbolt, right?
In theory, he can try he can try doing Blizzard and hope there is no True Silver, no Consecration, and nothing weird from Ivory Knight. But that will be a long shot. Especially because Ekop decided to proc that block this turn, and last turn he didn't.
Okay, so it's going to be Intellect.
So those are almost all the
Look at
cards.
that, the 2 fireballs right at the bottom of the deck. So Torch puts the Roaring Torch back in the deck, which is going to add a card in there, but we can see that the block is easily going to get procced in any which way he wants to, and there's no reason not to play Ivory Knight here, I believe. Ivory Knight almost certainly is going to heal you for 4.
Yeah, I'm also
Like,
thinking.
almost
I'm also
certain.
thinking.
At 6, sorry.
Is there anything that actually saves JJ? Because from Ekop's perspective, you've seen like Straz, you've seen double Ice Block. So basically, Consecration wins you the game 100% next turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can even just Forbidden Healing.
I guess so, yeah. You could just... I mean, well, you can play Ivory Knight first then.
Yeah,
Who
yeah,
cares?
if he heals
Who
you, it's
cares?
fine.
He can do anything he wants.
So from Ekop's perspective, there should be nothing that prevents him from winning the game next turn. The only thing that prevents him is an OTK setup in JJ's hand that kills him from 30 health.
Mhm.
But this is not something he can...
Holy Light. Why not?
Well, he can only lie, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
Alright, so now for Ekop, fingers crossed. If I die at 30, let it be. But shouldn't be mathematically possible with only 2 cards reduced.
Unless we're missing something.
Let's count the damage. So 5 mana for double torch.
It's the lack of Frostbolt that's causing the issue, right?
Yeah, it is definitely an issue there. So Fireball is 6, Double Torch is 12, so it's 18 damage, and then Ice Lance is 22, not enough.
Mm-hmm.
If you get a Frostbolt, is Frostbolt the last card?
I think it might be. We haven't seen 2 Frostbolts, right? We're not going crazy.
We maybe have seen 1, I'm not sure, in the beginning of the game. We were so into discussing this matchup because it was so interesting. It was like so many small variables that maybe we've missed the Frostbolt into a minion.
Yeah, so JJ is making the play that does keep him alive on board. If there's a chance your opponent doesn't have a spell to kill you, then why not take it?
Now also, it's a very interesting one, because if you play Ice Barrier, you play against around True Silver Champion, but if you want to win the game, you have to Fireball face.
Yeah, then you just Fireball, right?
At this point you have to.
There's no point because you can't afford to wait another turn because you have the same issue the next turn, so you just Fireball and see what happens. There's anything. Please play it, Ekop.
Yeah, he
I
will.
wanna
He
see the
shows it.
Murlocs.
It's like off the top, I got an NF in.
There we go. That was a nice short game to cast there, Nimsh. So.
Yeah, that's the match is still not over though.
Yeah,
because-
no, that's what I mean.
Yeah, that was a long
Got
game.
plenty more time left yet.
A good one though. I love that Hearthstone still has combo decks, and I do believe that Murloc is a combo deck. Same with Freeze Mage is a combo deck. So it's good to see variety. We do have aggro decks which are pretty simple in a way. Mid-range decks right now being a bit more complex, but the combo decks are still there. And Freeze Mage is from the beginning of the game. It was always there almost.
And we're going to see what JJ has left to try and beat this anything, because if it's more of a control deck, then it might
Mirror
have-
match.
Oh yeah, it's Paladin, right?
Yes.
Is it Paladin JJ has left?
Yes,
Okay,
might be
so
mirror match, might be aggro, and then well, we'll discuss aggro versus Murlocs, but mirror match is
or it
really
could be
fun.
Nazoth as well. There is a chance.
Do you think there's a chance to play Nizov in the current metagame? I think
Well,
if you're not Evangelion, I don't think you should
I
play.
don't know. I mean, it's slightly different, but at Batstone, Chucky played it, and he put the 1/3 Murloc in as well. So
Anti anything. I've even seen some people play on ladder just randomly face the guy which was playing the 6 mana 2/3 that deals 2 damage to everything. And when I played my first anything, I got Finley back, I got a 2/3 back, and I got a 2/1 a 2/1 back. I don't even know what created it. Maybe it was versus Shaman, and he had Maelstrom Portal creating Murloc, and I just got a random 2/1.
it's always fun when that happens, as long as you still win. Okay, so this could still be Nazoth from JJ. We haven't seen Murlocs yet, and all these cards are still played in the Nazoth list.
What did he mulligan away? I haven't.
I was looking at Ekop's hand then,
Ah,
so I
okay.
missed it.
We missed
we'll
it.
we'll see. We'll see. It won't be long. But yeah, this looks like a mirror. I think Murloc Paladin is better, but then again,
Leon Hands
now,
can be played
now
in
we're
both
seeing Leon
versions.
Hands.
Leon Hands is well.
I think Leon Hands has been out of Murloc for ages, though, right?
Well, ages. It depends. Like there are different builds.
Because you're playing Rag and Leon Hands.
It's a
in the deck.
more anti-aggro version in a way. Like you have more healing because sometimes you actually run out of heals in a Murloc deck.
Yeah, so sometimes you actually can't heal someone.
Well, you have 4 cards, right? In
Yeah.
the standard version, Forbidden Healing, double Every Night, and then Ragnaros.
I play double Forbidden Healing.
You play
I
double
don't
Forbidden,
mess
okay.
about with running out of heals, Nimsh. And there's Harrison as well, so maybe this is Nazoth. As again, like Harrison, although, you know, a tech card, you could put Harrison in a deck. I feel like if you're playing Murlocs, you play the optimized sort of, I am cycling to my win condition
Yeah,
version. And, you know, like, I prefer a cycle-heavy Murloc deck myself anyway. So,
me too.
I don't know. The Harrison gives a slight nod towards Nazoth, I feel, but we'll find out. We'll learn together.
What if it's the Nizov anything version?
Then everything's just going crazy, basically. Then anything truly can happen. And I don't even know how well that deck performs, actually. Like I say, I'm a lover of the cycle straight to the Murlocs version.
Me too, actually. I feel like Nizov makes the deck quite awkward, and it is a second win condition that will help you if the Murlocs are being countered in a way. But I think it makes the deck more clunky, so you're less likely to actually have a good anything instead. Plus, you're tempted to add those weird cards like Karen and Sylvanas that don't really help you with the overall strategy of the deck.
Mhm. Yep, we saw the trades in there early, which means the Solemn Vigil is slightly cheaper, but not as cheap as it could have been, as Ekop did trade into the... no, JJ trade into the 1/1.
Yeah, and so that was Ekop casting the Vigil. You guys, if you have any problem understanding which player is which, so the active player is always the hand is on the downside of the screen, and then it's the screen is light. And this blue border, right? This is the active player.
Yep.
All right, so Ekop. We know Ekop's deck. We've seen almost all the cards. We haven't seen Tyrion, but we have to assume Tyrion is there. There's no reason not to play Tyrion in
Yep.
the deck. So Ekop's strategy is standard. You want to
Ooh.
be aggressive, and then you want to get to anything, and you want to win the game with double anything, because the second anything is deadly. Paladin will not be able to increase his health.
Yeah, this is super interesting, though. So in what you presume is a slow mirror match, whether it's Murlocs or Nazoth, a lot of the time you just equip the True Silver, like JJ has. If Ekop equips the True Silver and doesn't attack, then the Harrison's going to be pretty damn effective at clearing that up. But also, you might not necessarily want to overdraw in this matchup either. So it's kind of tricky to navigate that, as they both are extremely slow decks.
By the way, the mystery is out. JJ also has anything can happen. We haven't seen any Nizov cards, so it seems like it is still anything can happen, with Leon Hands and Harrison as deck choices.
Yeah, and this is what we were saying earlier. At the moment, there's so many slight variations on decks that but actually make a big impact on matches, right? Like we said, there's a cycle-heavy Murloc list. There's a slightly more teched Murloc list, like JJ's playing by the looks of things. There's Nazoth Murlocs. You know, there's so many little things you can mess about with that actually have quite a large impact on the match. It's kind of cool. But now we're going to have to see how Ekop deals with this Doomsayer, or even if he chooses to deal with it, he could just hit face and pass.
Actually, even before that, how much experience do you have with mirror matches?
What, all of the mirror matches?
No, like this mirror
Oh,
match
I was like,
specifically.
Limbs, that's a pretty big question. We could be here all day talking about that. I've played a decent chunk of this mirror match, if they're both just Murlocs.
So-
I've not played against the Murloc Nizothless too much, to be honest. It's not something I've seen too commonly.
So is it about like the second anything? Whoever uses the second anything wins?
Yeah, a lot.
So you either
I've
want
seen
to
it
win
go
the first
like one of two ways, and it's like depends a lot on health total and what the board state looks like. But normally it goes the first player to play anything normally loses because the second anything's always bigger.
better. Yeah.
Because the wall leaders buff on both sides of the board is the main thing. But if you're on extremely high health total and you play anything, and then they can't really deal with it that well, or they play their own, then you play the third one and they die.
Yeah, because there's too many Murlocs.
But it really depends on at what point you are in the game, what health total you're at. If you're sure you're not going to die, then playing it first can sometimes actually win you the game because, well, if they clear the anything and not play their own, then you anything again. And that
Anyway.
probably kills them. So, it's very, very difficult to try and work out how and when to play the bigger anything card there. But it's super interesting to watch.
It gives us some pointers. So
Yeah.
the most important thing right now is that you kind of want to get your opponent as low as possible, because then anything might be the first anything can win you the game. So they are playing for card advantage in a way because this is the combo deck versus combo deck. But on the other hand, you want to be aggressive and deal damage. Plus, a player who is able to get 2 anythings early also has a slight edge, because then if the game goes slower and there is less damage on both players because they have so much heal, this will be important. Also, I think Tyrion might be an important card in this matchup because Ashbringer can help you with getting that damage to the face.
Yeah.
15 damage is important there.
And I definitely think that, enter the Colosseum.
Yeah, the Colosseum.
JJ, you're the best. Oh man, I love that card. If you didn't know, I absolutely love.
Oh,
that
you
card.
love the card?
Yeah. I love Enter the Colosseum. But going off topic a little bit.
This reminds me of the Pavel's version of the deck that he played at 1 HCT. He did play the double lay on hands, enter the Coliseum.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy actually.
Like it's
Just
super
feels like it's
controlling.
Yeah, it feels like it's built more to deal with aggressive lineups in general. But something about these decks is I think you do always want to value cycle. In some control matchups, you throw it like Control Warrior Mirror. You don't want to cycle too much because it's going to go to fatigue. Whereas a lot of the time, this matchup just doesn't. You have a very, very clear way the game is going to end. It's just sort of who blinks first a lot of the time.
Yeah, also it doesn't really matter if you go to fatigue. Like what matters is that you are actually having all the cards in the spots that you need. So you have Tyrion early, you have the anything when you need anything, you have the Murlocs when you need the Murlocs.
And also, it's very important in terms of ordering of when you play the War Leaders, because if you just play a War Leader on the board, and then they have like their own War Leader and a Blue Girl, then the Blue Girl gets buffed both sides. So then they have like an initiative sort of trade on your end for one way, and then you end up with the War Leader on your side. It gets very, very tricky.
So you go into...
And every single game is very awkward to deal with as a player, but it's a cool one to watch. Stressful to play, but cool to watch.
Well, right now it's absolutely awkward because they are just not drawing any Murlocs.
Yeah.
We haven't seen a single Murloc in this game. And both of them have double, anything can happen. So it looks like a standard control paladin where you just draw cards, heal.
Yeah, you just don't want to.
to.
No, you do something first, and then I'll react, and then you do something.
But they just don't have the Murlocs.
No.
Okay, so there's a Doomsayer. You can kill it, or you can just ignore it. You can just go 5 to face. If you go 5 to face, what do?
It's kind of tough.
Do you go 9 to face? Oh, Coliseum. Just to
Yeah,
kill
I mean,
the
you
Doomsayer.
can kill the Doomsayer, yeah.
But then you lose
I
your
feel
5
like
too.
it's just better versus other stuff, though. Because something you can do with Enter the Colosseum is, say there's Tyrion and Loot Hoarder on the board. You can just Aldor the Tyrion, and then Colosseum, so Tyrion dies. So you can do like cool stuff with Aldor with that card. So I don't know how I feel about it guarding the 5/2, because then you have to kill the Loot Hoarder, which means well the Loot Hoarder trades into the Harrison anyway. So I don't know if the Colosseum's valuable or going to be valuable if you use it at this point. So I like holding on. It's just going to equip the weapon, go face, and pile some more pressure on. And there's a Murloc.
There is a Murloc finally after all those
War Leader.
years. And Ekop is going for the Murloc. That's the Murloc, ladies and gentlemen. And that's basically the only play he has.
Yeah, and both players have both anythings in hand as well. So
JJ is still in a better spot though, because JJ can just kill the Murloc next turn, play Ragnaros, and this will require an answer from Ekop on the other hand.
Yep, and even with Aldor Peacekeeper on the Ragnaros, then well, it still heals, right? You know what I mean? Like it's still doing work. Whereas at the moment, Ekop's health is a little bit low, and other than Forbidden Healing, which doesn't feel good to play this early, it's a little bit awkward to deal with.
Should I?
So just do that and pass, because that's what you have
Yeah.
to do.
Aldor's too valuable.
Pyromancer? Oh wow, Pyromancer is if he goes for Pyromancer, it's because he wants to be aggressive and he recognizes he doesn't really have much follow-up overall. And he requires something from JJ, like JJ to do something overall. And what you expect?
I think Pyro Consecrate is actually a powerful tool in this matchup, though, because you can actually kill off a lot of the Murlocs with it.
So do you like Ragnaros here? Just kill the Murloc with a weapon and then go Ragnaros?
I think so, yeah. You're not really losing too much. You presented a huge threat to your opponent that they then have to react to, as opposed to doing anything too proactive. And also, you don't have many other plays at all. I mean, Ivory Knight doesn't feel great when you're on 27. Colosseum does nothing. Aldor again does nothing. So, and you don't. Do you want to lay on hands? You'll overdraw. So, yeah, I think Ragnaros is just a given play here. But it's whether you.
Well, I guess you could go for Ivory Knight as well, and maybe Aldor, but Aldor will be useful versus Ragnaros of the opponent. Well, if you go Aldor Ivory Knight, you can kill the minion with a weapon. So you keep Ragnaros as something that will help you maybe later, and Ragnaros can be countered easily with the Aldor in hand. So those were like both lines you can take here.
Yep. Ivory Knight going to come down. What options does he have?
Avenging
The
Wrath is
quickest
damage.
Avenging Wrath I've ever seen.
It's really good damage. And the tricky part.
What were the other options? Was one Comp Spirit? I think one was Competitive Spirit, and I didn't see the first one.
It was so fast.
I know. Didn't mess about.
It was only Avenging Wrath.
Yeah, it was just Avenging Wrath 3 times. That's why I picked it.
So in Ekop land, we still have problems, and Aldor has to be used in the 4-4, which is not good because there's this Ragnaros waiting. He did pick up Equality, so he will have an answer overall, but...
Yeah, and to be fair, you know, he just saw an Aldor be used on his War Leader, so it's like, oh, you know, we'll 1-for-1 this. I'm not the strongest Aldors in the world, but at least we're both having terrible Aldor Peacekeepers.
The fun fact is, like...
Another Murloc.
Yeah, it's another Murloc.
They're not extinct.
I mean, the fun fact is, if JJ is able to win this game without Murlocs...
I mean, that's another tactic, right? Do you just never play Murlocs and then just react to what they do and then try and win with other cards? I
If
mean,
you can
that's
avoid
when
that,
like
why not?
Ivory Knight can be really strong, as we can see now. Avenging Wrath going to help clear up the Aldor and then put on a lot of pressure. Suddenly,
Ekop is
Ekop
an
is at 8.
And
there's plenty of damage. There's 8 damage available.
he does have heal, though. He does have heal. Forbidden Healing heals him for 20.
Yeah, but this is just like, well, there's a turn. Do you know, this is one of the issues with Forbidden Healing, when you have to use it to full health, where you've just gave your opponent a free turn to a certain extent. Yeah, you back up at 28, but you know what? JJ's at 29.
This
So
matchup
he's
is
feeling
probably
pretty
fine,
okay
though.
anyway.
It's like, you know, armoring up in a Warrior versus Warrior.
Yeah, you don't want to go too wide with Ragnaros because you've not seen any qualities yet. So I wouldn't even mind the Bluegill and the Hero Power here, just to, you know, and just keep chipping away. You've just seen Forbidden Healing used to maximum effect. So yeah, I wouldn't mind just chipping away. Lay on Hands is an option just to cycle at this point.
Well, overall, as long as JJ just keeps board control, he will force Ekop to use anything, and then JJ can use anything. But will that be good?
I don't know.
Not
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen, and not necessarily because the third anything is really powerful.
So Lay on Hands opened up more options there for JJ, and being able to just play the Murloc there again to just put on some pressure. And now it's something to bear in mind where the Bluegill from an anything will be 4, right? It'll be 4 damage.
I'm surprised though, because I know like Tyrion is in those decks. It should be in those decks.
Yeah. I mean, Tyrion's going to be a pretty big speed bump to deal with on either side. There's Consecration, Holy
I don't
Wrath.
want to spoil Legion, but if we look at Legion, where's Tyrion?
Options.
Hey, look, I'm not spoiling anything, Nimsh.
All right,
There are
I'm not
people
spoiling
who may
anything.
not have played the Paladin questline. So, what is left? Holy Wrath could whiff pretty hard. Your opponent's on 30 health anyway. So, is Consecrate just better? Oh, he's gone for Equality. Okay.
He has Consecration and he has Pyromancer, so now he will have both clears, just in case. Like, he can basically use Equality, Pyromancer, maybe.
Yeah, but Equality Pyro's weird, right? Doesn't kill the Murlocs, does it?
No, it doesn't, but he might use it to just kill Ragnaros, or if
True.
if the board is like this, you can
Yeah, that's
sometimes want to kill it. Okay, so JJ, he can still go for Ragnaros, but he doesn't want to because he is thinking about the equalities. On the other hand, he just wants to keep the board.
Should
So what do you
I?
play here?
I think you can start pressuring the anything here. So I think if you play the second Bluegill, you can clear the board pretty easily and leave the Murlocs on the board. So then if your opponent plays War Leaders, then great, your Murlocs are bigger. And then if your opponent uses mana to clear the board, because the board will be pretty wide at that point, the Ivory Knight and the Aldor will still be alive. You'll have two Bluegills, and they'll have no board. If they use mana to clear the board, then you can start thinking about anything because you're still on 30 and you will have pressured that like health onto Ekop anyway. So JJ is actually just going for the anything right now.
All right, makes sense. So this will be if he trades with the 4-2.
No, I think he.
This
We'll
means
trade
that
in
this
here.
is 2 Bluegills
You
and 1
should
War
use the-
Leader.
Oh, is he not clearing the 4/4? Interesting.
No, he's not cleaning the 4-4.
Well, there's no good trade, is there? What's he gonna do? Kill the Murlocs? Like.
So double Bluegill and War Leader is how much damage? It's 80 damage, and then the weapon, it's 12 damage. This is really tricky.
Yeah, and this is what I was saying earlier about actually the first anything can make you win the game if you've put enough pressure on, because there's no good response. If they use AoE and clear the board, then you just gain another turn again and continue with pressure. If they use their own anything, you almost certainly aren't going to die from 30 with the first after the first.
Because like right
so
now,
you do the second of yours and then just win.
but Ekop can't really use anything right now, because if Ekop uses anything,
Yeah, exactly.
we'll have
But he loses if he uses anything.
Yeah.
Because then JJ just anything's back.
it just
And
kills everything
him.
he can,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then
It just kills him.
kill him. Yeah.
So this is what I mean, like with the first anything can actually win you a lot of games, as long as you're in a good position. Ooh, 1 mana off bounds kind of hurts.
So for now we have four Murlocs dead. So basically anything is 12 damage.
Mhm.
So now that is at least some threshold. So you know the card deals 12 damage. If you get your opponent to 12, you win.
Well, what's good now is JJ can actually just play his Bluegill this turn and heal up, and he knows he still won't die
Yeah.
from his opponent's anything. Yeah,
That's
he
for
can
sure.
still put on enough pressure. It does look like he's going for Rag. Will he play the Bluegill to clear off the 4/1?
He might do it because then anything is
Yeah,
18
because
damage.
if
and he's
Ekop
still not
anything's
dead.
to trade into the Rag, then yet again, JJ's anything will just win the game. So
Yeah.
this is a really
Well, even without
tricky
anything,
tactics.
Jage's anything right now is 18 damage.
Mhm.
So if Ekop does not heal and
Ooh.
kill Ragnaros,
and he can do both.
okay, he
Now that
has
he's got the Ivory Knight.
he has to do both. So JJ basically has 22 damage with the weapon and anything.
But he can't use the Bluegill to kill the Rag, right? He has to equality.
No, he
with that
can't
other-
because then we go
Yeah,
to
because then it'll be too much again.
28 damage.
Depending on what the Ivory Knight heals for. So much maths.
So wait, what's the best way to deal with this board?
I think he just
Pyromancer,
he just equality in trades, right?
equality trade, and then play Ivory Knight. Maybe,
Sure.
Maybe just Barnes for Tyrion. Well, let's see what you.
If
well,
you
let's
could
see-
guarantee that, Nimsh, maybe you do, but I don't think you can.
Yeah, you
I
could-
think there are still minions left in the
the
deck.
problem is you can actually get a War Leader from Barnes, and then JJ just attacks with the
and
War
then you
Leader.
just win anyway.
All right, so equality attack first, I believe, and he has to move fast because the rope is running all the time. Ekop,
This is a really tricky turn.
make a fast move, count the damage.
Oh, he's not giving a lot of not giving himself a lot of time to
Just a
see what
Murloc
Ivory Knight gives him. But he'll need to pick the high option, and he picked 5. Okay.
And it's 22, and the damage was it 18 plus? Wasn't it 22? That was 22 exactly, right?
Yeah, I think that's enough, actually. He's got the
Yeah,
weapon as
that was,
well.
yeah, that
so
was 18 plus 4. That was
yeah.
22.
Wow, and there we go. JJ
And
takes
that would be it. Oh man, that was tough. That was tough, but JJ is going forward to face RDU.
You see, just a sigh of relief from JJ there, as he was like, that is, you can see from that whole match the whole game we just watched of the Anything Mirror, like that is like super intense. I'm sure you'll agree. You were sat with us watching anyway,
Yep.
Lothar. So intense, you've got to keep track of everything, and then the second you make a misstep, it can just be game over.
Well, here I'm not really sure what Ekop's other choices were for the discovery, but I think he didn't have enough time, so it was picked randomly by the game, and he got a 5 heal from the.
I think
from the
5 was the
Ivory Knight.
highest heal he could take. From the I think one of them was a 2-mana spell. From
Yeah,
what I
lower.
remember.
5
and,
was the
and then
biggest,
I
I
didn't
think.
quite see the one on the left, but I'm pretty sure 5 was the highest. So if it was randomly picked or he picked it, it was the best outcome he could have got.
Okay.
But still, we
Still
saw how
not enough.
brutal that is.
No.
I mean,
Very interesting interaction between those two decks when you can't really play an anything after your opponent's anything, right? Well,
what
in
do you
this
ever
particular
do?
scenario,
Like,
right? Yeah.
you're
But
always put on the back foot.
now we have the best plays of the match presented by HP. So we'll go through this long series in 2 or 3 minutes to see what was happening. So
Yeah,
this is the
This seems like such a long time ago now.
yeah.
I
like
forgot
this was
that
the
they
same
even played
match.
this match. Okay, so we see there pretty big burst from Ekop there, being able to just sap away JJ's Ancient of War. And you know what? This game pretty much looked rough from JJ from the start. They just didn't have that many options, and Ekop managed to put enough pressure on early enough with minions from the rogue. So
Look at that win
Win-
rate with coin in hand, 100%.
wow, yeah. So that was during this match.
Yes.
Not the whole day, but this match overall. Most turns in the game, 33. We felt that one, didn't we, Nimsh?
Oh yeah, we did. And JJ fought as well, I feel. So I think JJ is with us right now. JJ, how are you doing?
Pretty tired. It's because it's like the hardest matchups in entire Hearthstone, I feel like. In the Freeze Mage game, I just completely lost it. It was way too complicated because I had no cycle.
Yeah, so we
And-
see for the Freeze Mage match now where it was it's kind of rough overall on JJ's end. There was just no really good battle plan going the long term at least.
Oh, this is the Rogue game. This was easy.
Yeah, well, in this situation, like this matchup is heavily favoring Freeze Mage, so a good pick from JJ here to counter the Rogue. But then after that, right, you play against a Shaman. Wait, was it against the Shaman?
Yeah, it was
Yes,
the
it
Shaman.
was, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, the Shaman also was so hard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
oh my
the,
god.
The Shaman game was kind of rough. We just see on JJ's spec end now where he just pretty much deals with most of the rogue stuff. When we saw the game was pretty done dusted, not a lot they can do. Even though Ekop, made the best plays he could in his turns and hung on as long as possible. But sometimes, a lot of the time, Mage actually just does this to rogue. So seems fair enough. in the
Well,
end.
Mage doesn't have the Doomhammer. Rogue doesn't have
Yeah.
the Doomhammer to finish off his opponent, where he doesn't have any kind of taunts, right?
Yeah, that's a nice comeback overall with the. with
This
the
this
Freeze
was
Mage.
insane. It's so hard to pick the right line here. Like,
Have you thought like he's just going to destroy like Straza and just cut you off?
no, it was also about the Felnose draw when I freeze the board, right? Like he doesn't get the extra draw. I think that was the most important part.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll speak to JJ after the video actually, because I believe his mic isn't actually live. So
Yeah. I mean, this rag was pretty good.
yeah, the rag off Barnes was looking pretty nice here to boost back up to 30, which
Wasn't really needed, I think, like in this particular matchup, right, with the second Ivory Knight.
I think it was just the ultimate safety, right? For no extra issue for
Yeah.
you've just got rag, and you're just gonna go back up to full health.
This match was super hard. There was one line where I could have gone for Ice Barrier Blizzard instead of the ping on my Acolyte. That was probably better, but it was so close because I had no draw. I had to stall something, and he had on turn 6 he had all the Murlocs already live. Like.
And that is the end of the.
I really like the highlight of the last game, which was one play.
Yeah, it was just, by the way,
I know, that's
anything to
summarized it.
face, go.
JJ, that was your match for survival. You
Yeah.
got it. Now it's the second match for survival against RDU. And are you prepared against his lineup better than Ekop? So what do you think? Or well, I'm guessing RDU's lineup well, right?
So we have 9 decks, right? I'm prepared against all of them.
Ah,
Oh!
okay. Nice.
Confident.
All of the classes. Are you
And,
prepared versus Monk and Death Knight, though? And there's the new class Demon Hunter.
Hey, Nims, really, I have to get some breaks. Like, I can't take
You know,
it.
he's serious.
Like,
He's serious.
Did the Anything Mirror, which was I guess like the long drawn out tough game.
I am happy how I played it.
Yeah, I was gonna, did it go how you wanted it to go? You know, was that like your plan overall? Just put some pressure on and then be able to play the first Anything to put Ekop on the back foot then?
It was. It's just like just, I play the matchup pretty often now. It's very hard always till the end, still anyways. But you have to pressure them. And the only thing I'm not happy about, I should have had the 1 damage to the face the last turn, so I can set up lethal. But the rest was played well.
In the very beginning, like with the bans and picks, did you feel like you outpicked Ekop, or were you happy with your picks and bans, or were you not happy? What happened there?
I guess I was. Yeah, I was pretty happy. Like there's no perfect strategy. I think I had like the rogue game of the druid. Nah, happens.
Yeah, it
right?
happens. Yeah, I was gonna say. Well, we were saying there's just not a lot you could really do with what you had anyway. It was just the way the match went early on.
Yeah.
Can you tell me in like few words what do you think about this format? Do you like it? Do you prefer it over other formats that you usually play?
Yeah, I like it. It's super complicated. It's something new. The super you can't just sweep with 1 deck. You can ban the deck which you fear. Shaman, warrior, druid, however you like it. It's very complicated because you have like to ban 6 decks, and it's very hard to make a strategy which like fits the wild field. Of course, sometimes you can get swept by some power classes. This happens. It's not like you have never 100% in Hearthstone, but I think if you prepare well, you can get an edge over your opponent. So I like the format.
And do you have like many strategies prepared, or just one main strategy? Because like we talk with RDU, and RDU says like I have 8 strategies. I'm beating everyone here.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you should. Let's say I have one flexible strategy. You should never just go this road, because when you meet an opponent and he just crushes you, you should be more like
Like a
able to-
tree
Keep
where
your
you can
options
branch
open.
out.
like
right?
a tree, like Malfurion.
Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful. Do you play
Wow.
Malfurion? Anyway, you have still 1 match. I don't
Yeah.
want to keep you here because you need to prepare and think about your ban strategy, and that takes a while, right? So we'll cut to a short break. You can prepare for your next match, and good luck in that.
Thank you.
And stick around, guys. We'll be back as soon as possible with the final match of Group B between RDU